Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling is a popular fictional series which follows the story of a young wizard and his friends as they attend Hogwarts. Throughout the series, themes of Norbert Elias's grand concept, the civilizing process, can be observed through analysing where his supplementary concepts of monopolization and courtization can be applied. In the fictional universe of Harry Potter, the magic and muggle world originally coexisted transparently, but due to rising hostility and persecution of wizards, laws were put in place over time to hide magic from muggles. These laws were regulated and enforced by the Ministry of Magic, a primary governing body of the wizarding community whose job was to found and uphold wizarding laws. The implementation of these laws were intended to pacify and protect both communities from each other, which led to what can be understood as a monopolization of violence. This concept, observed by Elias as a historical trend in Western Europe, describes how as societal groups grew larger, power became more concentrated within a small yet powerful minority who created laws dictating how violence could be exercised, often in a very restrictive manner. Elias believed that this forced pacification of society was necessary for ruling groups to remain in power and maintain order amongst their subordinates. Utilizing Elias's concept, we can similarly see that as the wizarding and muggle community grew, the Ministry of Magic emerged to control violence. Another concept contributing to Elias's civilizing process is that of the courtization of warriors. In this concept, he observed that as societies became more civilized, leaders transitioned from being the strongest warrior on the battlefield to being the wisest and most diplomatic public figure. Expressions of power became less about physical force and more about relational abilities. In the Harry Potter world, Dumbledore can be seen as the greatest example of courtization, as he leads Hogwarts with great composure, patience, understanding, and wisdom. The strength that he shows as a leader and role model for young and old wizards alike is a true testament to him as a powerful yet pacified leader, despite him in fact also being the most powerful wizard of all time. The combination of these theories lead us to our final concept, the civilizing process. Elias observed that as societies became more pacified, their emotional condition developed. That is, the way that they learned to feel and frame emotions changed, leading to heightened emotional sensitivity. With violence forbidden, people learned to suppress their emotional impulses in order to appropriately control their behavior in a wide variety of situations. It became crucial to learn how to anticipate the repercussions of expressing emotions, making people more self-controlled and aware of social constraints. In the wizarding world, as the Ministry of Magic enforced more and more laws, wizards had to learn to exercise extreme self-control in situations where magic would have been useful but was not allowed. In Harry's case, because magic is forbidden in the Muggle world, he is not allowed to use it to deal with the awful treatment he receives from his adopted family. The unintended consequence of this is that Harry is forced to learn relational skills in order to defend himself against adversity. This shows us the incorporation of the courtization concept into Harry's personality in the same way that Elias observed civilizing societies adopted it when violence became monopolized. Magic can be seen as a representation of power or violence, and disallowing its usage represents a form of monopolization. Finally, the very creation of Hogwarts is another prime example of the civilizing process. The specialized school teaches young wizards and witches not only how to harness and control their abilities, but also how to behave appropriately and responsibly in the wizarding and muggle world. Presumably, without this fundamental institution, as well as the Ministry of Magic, there would be significantly less self-controlled behavior. Lastly, Elias notes that as civilized behaviors become normalized over generations, this self-controlled behavior becomes part of people's habitus. But despite this, it is worth noting that whether it be through natural or taught behavior, Harry, of all people, has not often been one to play by the rules.